Hey everybody, I know there's been a lot of talk about this stock called HIMS and HERS, symbol is HIMS, and there's also been a ton of talk on NVIDIA. And I want to talk about those two stocks because neither one of them are really pretty right now, right? Now we're in a red market right now, and those stocks are not thriving. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that in the next couple minutes, and I'm going to show you some charts and maybe some things that you can look at for your own investing. So here we go. So here is a chart of HIMS and HERS health. Symbol is HIMS, and I've got it on a weekly. And now what you can see here on the weekly is you can see this stock has basically declined from almost, well, $80, I suppose, all the way down. Like it dipped here and came back up, but it couldn't make that high. That was your first warning, is it, tried to make a double top, but this lower top couldn't get up as high as the other one. I know it was 3 or 4 or 5 months later, but it still couldn't do it. And then after it couldn't do it, it tried to make another move to the upside, and it failed. Once it started to fail, you can see there were lots of signs of failure. And this is why I study charts, is because if you could see the signs early, you could save yourself a lot of money. Now, I don't know about early being from 80 to 50, but that's better than being from 80 to 20, right? And so there was a sign, and I'll show you on the daily in a second what you can see. But this was a big engulfing candle on the weekly right here. This candle right here. Very important candle because it basically covered the last 5 weeks of movement in this stock. And whenever you get a candle like that with volume, it's saying, hey, listen, we don't care about the last 5 weeks anymore. There's a new candle in charge, and it's a down candle. And notice where it closed. This little tick mark that you can see right where the point of my mouse is shows that it closed at the bottom of the range of the week. That means the sellers were in charge at the end of the week. And generally when that happens, there's more selling coming, okay? Now, what it did the next week was it tested the 200-day moving average. And it didn't fail. It bounced back up off that 200-day moving average right there. But the week after that, it closed. Look where that tick mark is again, below the 200-day moving average. So now you've got 4 weeks in a row coming off this including this candle, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now closing below the 200-day moving average. Now, I will point something out to you. A stock will generally test its 200-day moving average once or twice a year, just to see if it's real. So here's one test. Notice how almost every spot it closed above or at the 200-day moving average on this test. Over here, it closed below 1 on pretty light volume, and then it bounced nicely above that, right? So it was a test. And, there wasn't a test since 2023. And look what happened to this stock. Well, in this area, they started to run into trouble with their supplier, Novo Nordisk, to be specific. And these are the guys that sell that GLP-1 stuff, the Ozempics and the Wegovy's and all this other, weight loss drugs. And they lost their supplier. I can't remember if it was here or here. It doesn't really matter. Bottom line is we're pointing out these 4 candles. Okay, you could point out these 4 candles too, and that would have been a good spot to get out. But these 4 candles were pretty important. But notice how it kept going down. And then even when it went back up, it couldn't get back up above some of these significant candles. And then we just kind of rolled over, and couldn't even hold the 50. And now notice this spot right here is a death cross where the 10-week moving average crosses down below the 40-week moving average, or the 50-day crosses through the 200-day, and we had a death cross. Death crosses are usually pretty bad, and in this case, it was bad too. Now the stock is kind of cruising down below 50, Look at all the selling weeks in a row. What is that, like 12 out of 13 or 14 or 15 weeks down? And then the stock gapped down here again. Now, it has recently gapped up and filled that gap, okay? But I don't think the stock is that strong at this point. Notice right here the relative strength, meaning 94% of all the other stocks are doing better than this stock. Now that's a rolling and a longer term moving average, but still that is not a healthy looking stock. It's barely able to hold the 50-day moving average or the 10-week moving average in this case. All right, a lot of talking, but this is how you got to analyze your stocks, guys. You got to look at them week by week. And now I'll switch to a daily, and now we can look at it on a daily. It's more noisy. But you could see where it was just failing and going down, and it couldn't even hold the 21-day moving average, let the 50-day moving average. But we did have that gap up that I just pointed out. which filled this gap here. And now look, it can't stay above the 50-day moving average. We had a close below the 50-day moving average. That is the sign that a stock is just not healthy. I know they had some good news in here, but the stock is not the stock chart, okay? But I also want to point out something. There are patents that are expiring on all of these GLP-1 drugs, right? Wegovy and some of these other ones, the patents are expiring. And so generics are going to be coming into the market. So while there was a stranglehold on these, these GLP-1 drugs because they had patent protection, that stuff is expiring. And so now it's going to be efficiency of distribution. And that's where HIMS and HERS comes in. Maybe they have a great distribution. I don't really know that much about that part of the company, but I think that's what they're hoping. But if they're reselling somebody else's cheaper product, they're not going to make as high a margin. So I think this company has some trouble ahead. And it's got all of these people that sold or that were selling and that didn't sell. There's overhead supply of all these people that are like, oh, I should have sold at 69, 59, 49, 39. And when it gets back up there, they go, you know what? I had a chance to get 39 bucks for it or 49 bucks. I'm going to take it. So it's got to fight all of this overhead supply from, 50, 60, 70 all the way down. So be really, really careful on HIMS and HERS. If you're going to buy it, cool. Pick a spot on the chart, and maybe it's a healthy bounce up through the 50 or whatever. Pick a good spot on the chart where you can mentally justify owning this stock. But you might have to wait 2 years for this stock to come back up to anything higher than $50, $60, $70. I don't know. But if the stock is worth $25 or $22 today, even if it doubles, you're only going to be at $44, right? And you still have all that overhead supply left. What I would suggest that you might want to look at is doing what I call creating a cash flow machine out of it. You've got a stock, maybe it's sitting there, maybe it's going higher, hopefully it's moving in that direction, and you start selling covered calls against it. You buy the stock, you sell a call, you shoot for maybe 1 or 2% a week or 2 to 4% a month, and that's what you do. You sit there while you wait and you make it your cash flow machine engine, your income engine. That's how I would look at this. Okay, that is HIMS. Let's talk about NVIDIA. Now, I've made several videos on NVIDIA lately, and I like NVIDIA as a company. Now, as a stock, that's a different story. So this was a beautiful stock all the way, from here all the way up, right? We saw tons of gains, right? From 23 to 200 basically is what this stock has done. But just the past does not equal the future, right? And so now this stock has been for 4 or 5 months now, just kind of stuck in this little pattern of between 212 and 170, let's call it. And it's in this consolidation, and it's not going up and it's not going down with any significant speed or momentum. It's just kind of hanging, waiting for news. Now, we had some great news a couple of weeks ago in earnings, but the stock didn't really do anything. In fact, it went down. And so everybody's like, oh, AI this and AI that. And I'm thinking, and I might have mentioned this in my NVIDIA video this week, I'm thinking NVIDIA is the poster child for AI, but AI is in a little bit of trouble, right? If you go back and you look at some of the big infrastructure plays over the last couple hundred years, for example, you go back to the railroads. They spent gigantic amounts of money building the railroads. And a lot of those companies that built the railroads went bankrupt. Well, what was left after they were bankrupt? Railroad tracks, right? And so those companies who had lost all that money betting on the next big thing, the railroads, were no longer around to take advantage of all the spending that they had. The same thing happened with telephone lines. The same thing happened with power lines. The same thing happened with fiber optic lines. I remember there was a company called Global Crossing that back, in the late 90s was the big darling because they were laying all these fiber optic cables for all this internet stuff that was going to happen. And they're out of business, but we still have the fiber optic lines. And then all those other companies that, put in the infrastructure for the internet, built all these things that we get to use today, the apps and the technology and the HTTPSs and all those things that all was infrastructure that all cost a lot of money. Most of those companies are not around to enjoy it. Yes, there's Amazon, but pets.com's not around. Vans, what was that one for the, I can't remember. It was a grocery delivery service, right? I can't remember the name of it, something with van in it. Anyway, well, they're not around. I can't remember their name. But today, like, we have grocery delivery service. In fact, Amazon is in that business, and so is Instacart and a few other companies that deliver groceries to you. But the infrastructure was built 25 years ago. So fast forwarding now to AI, people are spending billions and billions and billions of dollars putting in infrastructure, okay? I personally am very heavily into AI. But what I'm seeing in this landscape is I'm seeing huge amounts of money being put into these large language models, these LLMs, right? You know what I am, ChatGPT, Claude, some of the, these are all the big ones, Gemini from Google. These are the ones that are spending tons of money on compute, big data centers. Problem is, data centers get outdated after 4 years. 4 or 5 years. So they have to constantly be updated. The equipment has to be replaced. This is not like railroad tracks that stay in place for 30 years or fiber optic lines that last for 20 or 30 years. These are things that have to be replaced because a 4-year-old chip, like I tried to use my 5-year-old computer a few weeks ago, I couldn't get it to run anything because things have moved so fast. And that's what's going on with AI. I think there's a move to local models. Anyway, okay, I talked too much, I know. But my point here is this could be a bubble, right? And everybody says, oh, the internet bubble and the AI bubble. I don't know, guys. Like, to me, this is all priced to perfection. Like, just look at SanDisk and Micron Electronics and some of the other ones. They're all trading really close to their highs and they're doing really well, but they've been doing really well for a while and they're not going that much higher at this point. So they're kind of priced to perfection and there's risk there. I'm not saying it's going to go down. I'm just saying there's risk there that you got to pay attention to. And NVIDIA, by not going up, and they're the number one company in AI, they supply everybody with chips, there's a story being told right here on the screen in this consolidation. Let's look at it on a daily. Looking at it on a daily, basically I'm zooming in. You can see this is a lot wider situation. You can see where I got in and got out doing covered calls. And, you can make money when the stock doesn't do anything and, in covered calls. That's the cool thing about it. But look at this stock now. It hasn't been able to hold its 50-day moving average for about a month, maybe three weeks. We had a gap down, after earnings, I believe that was. And then we haven't been able to really hold that 50-day moving average. And now we're down below the 200-day moving average on a really lousy Friday. And so there's trouble here. There's trouble. I think it's going to go down and test, it very easily could go down and test that 170 because it's right there. And if it tests that 170, it does it on any kind of significant volume, we might be looking at lower ahead. So I want you to keep your head on a swivel if you're an NVIDIA investor and, don't comment and say, yeah, Mark, well, you can't pick the bottoms and the tops. I know that. But when a stock is dropping, and I'm not saying it's dropping yet, but when a stock is dropping, you don't want to be holding on to it. You can always buy back, but you don't want to be trying to be the salmon and swimming upstream. You want to have a stock that's going sideways or slightly up or even heavily up, and then you want to sell covered calls in it, I believe. So those are two stocks that I think you should be wary of. One of them has been really weak and it's trying to get strong, but it's still pretty weak. The other one is just kind of NVIDIA. And it looks to me like it could be weakening on the chart. I love the stock. I just don't know where the spot is to buy it. And I like to buy things on strength, and I'm not seeing strength on either NVIDIA or HIMS. So I hope that helps. It's just a commentary. Watch other people's videos as well so you can get a pretty good idea. But learn how to sell covered calls so that if you're wrong, you can sit there and at least make some income while you wait. And then maybe if you're right, you can make income and the stock goes up for you. I'll see you on the next video. Hey everybody, just a quick thing to tell you about our Wealth Accelerator live event in Arizona, just outside of the Phoenix area, April 17th through the 19th. It's called the Wealth Accelerator Live Strategy Room. And this is where we're going to have kind of an intimate event, not one of my bigger events. It's a small event where we're going to have high value conversations with like-minded people. You're going to be networking there, going really deep on strategies about income. And we're going to be really delving into stocks, reading charts, and I'll give you a breakdown of the stocks that I think are going to do well in the last half of 2026. So you don't want to miss it. Hotel rooms are already going pretty quick. There's a link at the bottom here. Again, it's called the Wealth Accelerator Live Strategy Room. Love to have you you there. It looks like a pretty cool venue. If you could take a look at that, it's got, you know, big old pool and an 18-hole championship golf course. So if you want to come early, stay late, I'm going to do that. So it'd be great to see you there, meet you face to face. Check on the link below, and then you'll have to call the hotel and get your hotel rooms because they're going fast. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up. Love to see you there, but get your tickets now because it's going to sell out. It's not many seats. Take care. Bye. The information you just heard is for education and information. This is not financial advice.